Hey everybody, I'm Everett Abrams, the Wizard of Wood, and today I want to talk to you a little bit more about cedar shakes, and not just cedar shakes on siding of houses, but cedar shake roofs specifically, and about the best way to restore or clean your cedar shakes from your organic growth, moss, and so forth. So what happens is a cedar shake, pretty thin, pretty fragile, cedar, which is one of the 10 softest woods, so it's kind of temperamental. If I take this, I can actually split it. It comes apart pretty easily. So what happens is if you take a lot of organic growth, mold, mildew, moss, algae, anything that will grow on these cedar shakes, and you leave it and neglect it, what's going to happen? It's going to deteriorate the shake, number one. So a good way to preserve your cedar shakes is maintenance, cleaning. Even if you're not sealing or staining, this is one of those ones where I would say at least clean it and get that organic growth off. Now let's think about moss. I run into more cedar shake roofs with moss on them than you can imagine. If the moss is on there, it's holding moisture, it's going to rot the cedar shake. I've actually taken it and squeezed the cedar shake, and I can just squeeze it like a sponge and just watch the water come out. But if you have moss or heavy growth, lichens, so forth, that are growing on the shakes, and you've neglected it for a period of time, I mean, let's face it, for moss to grow on a roof is going to take a couple plus years, and you let it sit there, that's called neglect. And for whatever reason it was neglected, it doesn't really matter. It's the fact that it was neglected. So I get a lot of people that call me and say, hey, I want to clean the cedar shake roofs, and everybody's trying to do this all at once, one time. Now, when we typically go out to, say, a deck or a wood-sided home, it's probably been a couple of few years, let's say it's 4 or 5 years, and it's on a vertical surface. That's pretty typical, easy to clean that or restore it using a type of product that will actually remove and remediate the organic growth. However, sometimes we still get heavy growth where something has to be done twice, or something heavier, more strong in regards to your product that you're going to clean and restore or possibly strip it with. And you would use that on your decking and wood siding and so forth. You may not use it on a cedar shake. Again, it's temperamental, it's soft, and you got to be careful what you're doing when you're working on these cedar shakes. The big thing is, let's just say it's moss. One of the best things you could do is, if you can, scrape the top of the moss off to get most of it off. It's still rooted into the cedar shake. What we want to do is just get it to where whatever we're going to apply to remediate the growth or kill the growth, that it's actually going to work its best. And one of the best ways is to scrape it without hurting the shakes. Now, that would be number one. Number two, when I go out and I talk to a customer, I educate them about the cedar shakes and the growth and the fact that it's neglected growth. I get them to buy in to say, yes, it's been a while since it's been done, it's never been done, whatever the case. And then you have to explain to them everything I'm putting in this video, as well as, what the course of action should be. The first course of action should be set the expectation that this shouldn't be done in one shot. If we go out every 2, 3, 4, 5 years, whatever it is, on wood siding and a deck, and this is neglected 5 years plus, it's hard to do it all at one time. And when we do, we're either using too much pressure, too strong a chemical, doing something that's going to be not good for the shake, a little more harmful. And what we want to do is try to preserve the shake as best we can. Now, we probably have to replace some shakes, and that's part of the deal, because again, they're fragile. Some of them will rot, some of them will dry out. There's a whole host of things that can happen with these cedar shakes. However, the one thing we want to do is talk about how we would do this in 2 treatments. So whether we're doing, we talk about doing a post-treat or a pre-treat, but we don't talk about it when we're talking about wood. We talk about it on concrete surfaces and on other substrates, but we don't talk about it on wood. But when you have neglect, how are you supposed to clean 5 years plus or restore 5 years plus of growth and neglect in one shot? Probably not a good idea. So we do a post-treat. We do an original treatment, and then we come back and post-treat. And I would recommend probably doing it in about 2 weeks. Now, typical roof cleaners are working on shingles. What they're going to do is they're going to actually put a product on the roof. It could be just sodium hypochlorite. It could be something else. sodium hypochlorite being, bleach. And what happens is it will kill or remediate that organic growth, the mold, mildew, and so forth. And then you wait for a lot of it to rinse off, wash off over the rain and so forth. But it's done through a soft wash method. Now, when you do that, people will say, okay, well, a week, 2 weeks, whatever, it depends on the product they're using and how they're cleaning it and their procedure and so forth. But it's not initially, okay, boom, magic, it's done. It looks better. But they also say about the growth that it's going to have to kill off, wash off, so forth and so on, like the lichens. Now, if we have moss and lichens and everything growing on these cedar shakes and it's taken a while, sometimes they just don't come off that easy. And a lot of times what they'll do is they grab at the end of the shake. And when you go up to look at a cedar shake, you'll see the growth really heavy down here. Well, you can't go blast that with a pressure washer. Soft wash won't get some of it. It won't get it on one treatment. It might get it on two, probably two. So you have to sell the post-treatment and say you're going to come back in 2 weeks and get it. Now, say, okay, well, nobody's going to go with that, okay? They wanted to get it done. Well, if they shouldn't have neglected it, and if it's explained to them correctly, there's not a problem. Now, just telling you, being honest with you, I've never, when I've explained this about a post-treatment and the neglect, I've never not gotten a job. If somebody's going to go with us, they're going with us because of that. If they didn't go with us, it'd be more from a budget reasons, but a lot of times they say, oh, this guy's going to take care of it, and this is the way it should be done, so forth and so on, and they use us to get it done. This is easy to explain. People understand that. It's best for the integrity of the cedar shake. It's the proper way to clean a cedar shake. Don't try to get it all at one time if it's heavy growth. If you have moss and you have heavy lichen, it's going to take more than one, and you sell a post-treatment. That's the proper way to clean a cedar shake. So I know I get pushed back on some stuff, this included, but I'm just being honest with you. Best way to take care of neglected cedar shakes with heavy growth is to sell or discuss, teach, and educate your customers, and hopefully anybody watching this, that a second treatment or post-treatment is ideal for this type of situation. I'm Edward Abrams, the Wizard of Wood, hoping that you have a little better understanding of how to clean your cedar shake roofs.